Have you ever heard of divorce papers being filed without consent? I had heard of it, but I always thought it was something that wouldn't concern me. I was glad I divorced someone with no money and sickness. That was until I received such an email while hospitalized due to the stress from my husband's infidelity. It was only after this that I, having divorced as I had hoped, took what I had in hand and headed to the bank immediately after being discharged, all to make my former husband, an elite bank employee, pay for his infidelity. My name is Courtney. I am a handmade artist married to Tom for 6 years. We were happy together, having met as colleagues at the bank, but recently, our marriage had been strained for about 6 months. Tom began coming home late and became glued to his phone at home. He used to talk on the phone inside the house, but then he started going out to the car to talk. Suspecting an affair, I decided to hire a detective agency after much deliberation. It cost some money, but I thought it would be worth it for peace of mind. A month after hiring them, I found out about Tom's affair. His lover was a woman named Michelle, a teller at the same bank. From the report, it seemed she continued to approach Tom even knowing he was married. The report included photos of them entering a hotel, kissing on the street, and enjoying meals together. I couldn't give up on Tom. I believed his affair was just a moment of folly, and that he would return to me. Wanting to be an even better wife, I changed my hairstyle, put on makeup, cooked with more effort, and always smiled. But all my efforts went unnoticed, and the days when Tom wouldn't touch his food increased, pushing me into deeper stress. I had resolved not to confront him, but seeing him leave the house happily on the phone every day made it impossible to hold back. You seem busy lately, getting a lot of calls. Is work so demanding that you need to handle it even after you come home? I asked. Yeah, you quit the bank to marry me after working there for about 2 years, right? You might not understand, but it's a busy season now. It's easy for you, isn't it? No busy season, no earnings, just a leisurely life as a handmade artist, Tom replied, laughing in a way that seemed to mock me. I was shocked by his behavior. The Tom I knew before would never have said such things about my work, nor would he have laughed at me through his nose. He used to praise the pieces I made and supported me through my late-night work sessions. You don't have to say it like that. I might not be as busy as you, but I take my work seriously. I'm not living leisurely at all. I don't know how much you're earning, but it's definitely less than me, right? I'm paying half of everything, rent, utilities, living expenses, so you can live. It's tough being a woman with no earning power. You wouldn't survive if I divorced you, he continued. What kind of thing is that to say? I make enough to cover my share, but that's not the point right now. What do you want? To divorce me? Unable to control myself after hearing the word divorce from Tom, I started crying uncontrollably. Tom sighed annoyed and left the living room, telling me not to cry over every little thing. Tom's attitude towards me became even colder the next day. He completely ignored me, not even meeting my gaze. Despite the situation, I kept wondering how we could go back to being the happy couple we once were, putting immense stress on myself, leading to sleepless nights and spontaneous tears. Unable to bear it alone, I met with my high school friend Sophia for advice. Sophia, still single, was a successful career woman. I tearfully shared my feelings with her, feelings that I couldn't share with anyone else. Tom is completely infatuated with that woman, Michelle. He comes home later and later. I don't know what to do anymore, I said. Do you still love your husband, Courtney? Do you want to get back to how things were before? Sophia asked. I honestly expressed my feelings. It's stupid, but I still love him. I don't want to give up, but everything is so hard, I replied. Just then, I started coughing violently and bent over. I've had asthma since before, and it had worsened due to the stress from my relationship with Tom. I took out my inhaler, but I was coughing so much that I couldn't inhale at all. The relentless coughing made me suffer unbearably. Unable to remain seated, I collapsed onto the floor. Courtney, are you okay? Please, someone, call an ambulance. Sophia called out to me desperately, but I couldn't respond and lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Courtney, thank goodness you're awake. Are you okay? Can you understand me? When I looked toward the voice, I saw Sophia with tears in her eyes, attempting to speak cautiously. I managed to utter thanks despite coughing, expressing my gratitude with just a single word. Sophia nodded while crying and immediately pressed the nurse call button to summon a nurse. Then the attending doctor arrived and explained that due to the severity of my asthma symptoms, I would need to be hospitalized for about a week. With nothing prepared for a sudden hospitalization, Sophia bought me a hospital admission set from the shop and filled out the necessary paperwork. I tried to inform my husband about my hospitalization, but couldn't reach him. Sophia tried calling Tom's cell phone, but he didn't answer. Considering contacting my workplace, I hesitated, fearing their reaction. Eventually, Sophia helped me draft an email, which she sent on my behalf. Sophia stayed until the end of visiting hours and then left. I drifted in and out of sleep due to the medication, constantly checking for any messages from Tom. The first message from him came at 1:00 a.m. If you're hospitalized, there's nothing I can do. I'm busy with work, so I won't visit you. Upon reading that email, I felt truly sad, hurt, and miserable. It wasn't just that Tom said he couldn't come because he was busy, but that he wouldn't come at all, which made it clear to me that he no longer had any love for me. I thought I shouldn't cry, but tears came uncontrollably beyond my will. I didn't reply to the email and just cried until morning. 2 days passed. Tom didn't visit, but Sophia diligently showed her face after work. That's great. You look a bit better. Are you able to eat? I brought your favorite novel, she said. Sophia's lively visits and smiles saved me. I can't thank her enough. Thank you. I'm feeling quite good today. My cough has settled down a lot. The doctor said he'd consider discharging me in about 2 more days. Sophia was really happy and planned for us to go out and eat something healthy after my discharge. As Sophia and I were discussing where to go, I received an email notification. Glad I divorced a broke, sick person. Reading the email from Tom over and over, I couldn't understand its meaning and just froze with my phone in hand, my heart racing and my mind in turmoil. You don't earn much, do you? Falling sick without doing any serious work. Don't make me laugh, wife. Lottery a big failure. So I filed for divorce. Take care, the email continued. Seeing the follow-up email, I laughed unconsciously. It felt like a farce, getting divorced by Tom while hospitalized for asthma. Tears came along with laughter, and I found myself crying and laughing. Seeing me like that, Sophia shook my shoulders in a panic. What, Courtney? What happened? Are you okay? She asked. I handed my phone to Sophia, showing her the emails from Tom. Reading the message, Sophia's face turned red with anger. Look, Courtney, I know you love your husband. And I didn't want to say anything. But maybe it's time to let go, she said. I understood what Sophia meant. Even though she started crying from the emotion, she managed to put her words together. Just divorce him, Courtney. You need to take care of yourself. No matter how much you love him, sorry to be blunt, but you can't be happy with such a crappy man, Sophia said, looking sorry, knowing it was not her place to meddle in marital affairs. But I smiled back at her. It's okay, really. I knew it deep down that it was impossible to continue, but I lacked the courage to divorce, always looking away. But it's over now. I'll divorce Tom when Tom brought up divorce. I was afraid of the separation. I still loved Tom and was scared of how others would react to our divorce. But once I made the decision myself, the fear of divorcing somehow disappeared. I think it's because I could finally think, enough, let's give up. That's the way to go. Let's do it. Let's enjoy being single again. Together, yeah, I added, feeling a surge of relief. Ah, I feel so much better. Thank you, Sophia. Having you here, I'm really grateful, Courtney. You're my precious friend, of course, Sophia reassured me. But then Sophia's expression shifted as she asked, "Wait, but how did he manage to file for divorce? Where's your signature?" When I explained that we had prepared divorce papers just in case when we got married, she grew visibly angry. "I see. So he just pulled those out, filled in his part, and submitted them. It might not be a forgery, but it's still appalling," she remarked. I was afraid of being divorced by Tom in such a state, so I had hidden them in the room. He probably found them and submitted them. Now I'm actually glad he did it. I couldn't decide to divorce Tom because I still loved him, but now it's different. As Tom's feelings for me have vanished, so have mine for him. I'm not foolish enough to keep loving someone who does this to me, I explained. Tom still sent one-sided messages like, "You probably don't have any property, and I don't want to give you any of my money, so we're not dividing any assets. The house is in my name, so get out. I'm being kind by giving you until the end of the month. I don't want to bump into you, so I won't return until after the month is over. Make sure you clean the room before you leave." Honestly, at this point, I was in a state of disbelief. What is this guy even thinking? I laughed again, showing the email to Sophia. "Look, Sophia, now I've lost the house too. What should I do? Going back to my parents is too far. I had no intention of staying in that house, and there were my valuable handmade parts to consider. Transporting them would probably fill an entire room. The right size, security, rent. Could I find a perfect place that quickly?" I pondered. Sophia smiled. "Have you forgotten where your best friend works? Don't worry, dear customer. I'll find the perfect room for you," she reassured me. "Sorry, I really forgot." "That's right, Sophia. Please help me," I said gratefully. Sophia, being a capable woman who worked in real estate, brought various property listings to my hospital bed. Spreading them out and explaining them to me until my discharge, we managed to find a place close to my preferences. Since I needed certain documents I couldn't get until after discharge, I decided to stay at Sophia's place in the meantime. I'm really sorry. I apologized to Sophia, feeling grateful for her support and guidance during such a difficult time. "I keep causing you trouble. It's okay. I have good sales, right? I've been here second longest after the manager. Sorry, rental agreements take time because there's a lot of paperwork and an inspection process. You can stay at my place as long as you need until everything is settled." "Thank you so much. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. Just take care of yourself for now. Let's take it easy. So, how have things been? Any more contact from your ex-husband?" "No, not a single word from him. After all, we're strangers now. I do get messages from people from our bank days, though. Apparently, I was branded as a terrible wife. It seems that my ex-husband Tom had reported our divorce at his workplace and blamed me for it. He told people I didn't do housework, didn't contribute financially to the household, yet splurged on my hobbies. He said that any attempt at discussion would end with me getting hysterical and uncontrollable. It's laughable at this point. Who does he think he is to say that? I'd love to remind him who was the one cheating." Sophia seemed to have reached a point where all she could do was laugh. "So, what's your plan? You're not going to let this end here, are you, Courtney? What are you going to do?" Grinning mischievously, Sophia looked at me, and I couldn't help but smile back. There was no way I was going to let this end here. Tom had his turn doing whatever he pleased, but now it's my turn. Of course, I have no intention of holding back against a man without sincerity and a woman who meddles with a married man. I have quite a few things in mind, so look forward to it. Just you wait, both of you. Enjoy your peaceful newlywed life while you can. I had already started planning my revenge against the two of them. 2 days after my successful discharge, Sophia drove me straight to the bank where my ex-husband Tom and his new wife Michelle were. Upon entering the bank, I saw Tom in the back. It had been a while since I last saw him. About a month and a half had passed since I was hospitalized, and he filed for divorce. I thought I would be furious seeing him, but I wasn't. Then, looking for Michelle at the counter, there she was, sitting there with a composed face. Although she had taken my husband away, I tipped a number and waited for my turn. Fortunately, I was called to Michelle's counter. She greeted me with a welcome, and I responded with a smile. Hello, I'm sorry to bother you, but I'd like to cancel a bank account. Certainly. Is it just one account you wish to cancel? I took a deep breath and projected my voice. No, not just one. I'm here to cancel accounts for all 800 employees of my company. The counter buzzed with whispers at my declaration. Tom looked over, shocked at what he saw. He seemed to want to say something, his mouth opening and closing. All 800 accounts? Michelle was flustered at the counter, and I couldn't help but feel a surge of laughter. Canceling 800 salary accounts would be a significant loss for the bank. It's not just about losing deposits. With interest rates being low, banks count on transaction fees and salary transfer fees for their profits. Losing that is a big deal. Yes, all of them, please. Proceed, I said as I handed over the corporate account documents. I made my request. What the hell are you doing, Courtney? Did you just say something about a company with 800 employees? What's that about? Tom approached the counter, his behavior causing a stir among the other customers in the bank. Oh, long time no see. How have you been? I said calmly. What do you mean? It's exactly as I said. I've been a company president even when I was married to you. It's a handmade business, so I'm both an artist and a president. I spoke the truth at the counter. You're a president? What? I didn't know that. You never said anything about that when we were married, Tom explained. No, I didn't. You used to mock me for being a failing handmade artist, right? I earn more than you do. I didn't want to hurt your pride, so I kept it to myself, I retorted. Michelle, who had no idea who I was, looked at me in shock. She whispered softly, wondering if I was really the person she thought I was. Hello, I'm his ex-wife. Please proceed with the cancellation quickly, I said firmly. Tom and Michelle were frozen, not knowing how to react to the unexpected situation. Then I heard a familiar voice, Miss Courtney, it's been a while. You seem well. There stood Mr. Johnson, my boss before I married Tom. He was a strict person, and many of my peers found him difficult, but I liked him. He was as strict with himself as he was with others. Mr. Johnson, it's been too long. You look well, too. I replied, momentarily forgetting why I was there, happy to see Mr. Johnson. Yes, I'm doing well. Tom told me about the divorce, and I've been worried about you. It seems you've been through a lot. How about we talk in the back room while we wait? Mr. Johnson suggested. Of course. These two and I will be there, I replied, glancing at Tom and Michelle. Mr. Johnson's gaze was sharp. It was probably about my divorce and Tom's remarriage to Michelle. Their faces, which were red a moment ago, turned pale. They seemed to be having a busy day changing colors like that. I don't mind at all. I'd love to catch up with Mr. Johnson, I said, smiling. Great, let's go to the reception room on the 3rd floor. You two, come along, Mr. Johnson said. We headed to the 3rd floor where the customer reception room was located. Mr. Johnson opened the door for us, and we entered into our seats. It's really been a long time, Mr. Johnson. I feel regret for meeting under these circumstances, I said honestly, and Mr. Johnson smiled back. No worries. I was surprised by the situation, but I'm glad to see you're doing well. I was shocked to hear about the divorce from him, and even more so about his quick remarriage, Mr. Johnson said, glancing at Michelle and continuing, and I don't believe the divorce was your fault, as he claimed. Wait a minute, Mr. Johnson. Are you implying that we're to blame? Is that not the case, if I'm wrong? Tom interjected. I apologize, but you see, I've taught her about work for several years. She was always the most meticulous, organized when it came to cleaning. And if I recall correctly, she used to bring homemade lunches every day, right? Mr. Johnson asked me. His precise recollection of these details from years ago made me feel appreciated for my efforts. Not doing housework, not contributing financially to the household, but spending on hobbies, and becoming hysterical during discussions. That's what you've been spreading around as the reason for divorce. But Courtney is not like that. Mr. Johnson defended me so firmly that tears welled up in my eyes. It felt overwhelming to have someone who understood. But that's the truth. You only know her from a work perspective, and you might suspect we had an inappropriate relationship, but that's not true. Yes, that's right. I never cheated. I just couldn't stand seeing Tom so down after his divorce. And while I was cheering him up, he proposed. Tom attempted to explain, while Michelle argued her point with tears, like a tragic heroine. Ridiculous. I was the one who was hurt. I interjected, taking out a document about the thickness of a notebook from my bag. Would you like to see this, Mr. Johnson? You too can look as well. Oh, but perhaps there's no need. You're probably well aware of what's in it. I handed over the investigation report from the detective agency to Mr. Johnson, who took it while smoothly dodging Michelle's attempt to grab it. Sit down and be quiet. Mr. Johnson's stern command silenced Michelle, who shrieked and clung to Tom. What is this? You said your wife was too stupid to notice anything. This is not what you told me, Michelle, Tom exclaimed, attempting to defend himself. It's not like that. She really is stupid. I never thought she would do something like this, Michelle added, calling me stupid. Too much, aren't you? Just as I was about to retort, Mr. Johnson's furious shout exploded. The idiots here are you two, cheating on your wife, Tom, and you, Michelle, getting involved with a married man, playing the victim. You two are the offenders, and Courtney is the victim. Thank you for saying everything I wanted to say. It feels refreshing. But may I add something? I asked, feeling empowered by Mr. Johnson's strong support. Of course, say it. I won't stop you, Mr. Johnson encouraged. Grateful for Mr. Johnson's strong support, I continued. He nodded at me vigorously and began reading the report with intense focus, his frown deepening. You called me stupid. But do you think a stupid person can run a company? It turns out you were the one with the lesser income. How much was your salary again? It's $100,000. That's plenty. Tom was so proud of his $100,000 salary, which seemed hilarious to me. Michelle nodded along, seemingly proud as well. Is that so? Well, it's not bad. But mine is $400,000. I have 800 employees, and it's only our 4th year in business. The handmade business you look down on. I started a company with my friends. $400,000. I revealed, watching Tom and Michelle's faces drop in disbelief at the revelation that the person they underestimated was actually a company president earning $400,000. Yes, business is booming, so we're planning to hire more staff, I added with a satisfied smile. I thought it would be beneficial to have our employee accounts with your bank, but there's no need to be considerate anymore. So I'm canceling them all, I declared firmly. Tom and Michelle were taken aback by my sudden decision. Just wait a minute. If you cancel, the bank's deposits will increase. Having salary accounts means potential for housing mortgages and such. It's a big loss for the bank if you cancel, Tom tried to reason, seemingly forgetting my background as a former bank employee. It seems he forgot that I used to be a bank employee, the basic knowledge that any bank employee would have. He's making it sound like a revelation, I thought to myself. Yes, I'm aware. It's basic knowledge for a bank employee, isn't it? Are you underestimating me? Why should I be considerate of an ex-husband who cheated and filed for divorce while his wife was hospitalized with asthma? Tom's face paled as he realized his mistake. Michelle began to cry, and Tom, overwhelmed with frustration, prostrated himself, begging for forgiveness. Please, I'm sorry. It was just a fling, you understand, right? She came on to me strongly, and well, I just went along with it, Tom confessed, his voice trembling. Michelle, angered by Tom's admission, lashed out at him, blaming him for their affair. The scene before me was so absurd that I couldn't help but laugh. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. Are you kidding me? What value does such a prostration hold, especially when you have no value to begin with? Mr. Johnson intervened, his voice dripping with disdain. Exactly. Having seen incontrovertible evidence, I'll make sure you are punished accordingly. Your affair has led to the bank suffering the disadvantage of mass account cancellation, Mr. Johnson stated firmly. Tom and Michelle could only hang their heads low in shame as they realized the severity of their actions. As our conversation ended, the account cancellations were completed, and I left the bank feeling refreshed. Later, Mr. Johnson informed me that both Tom and Michelle had been dismissed for their misconduct. Unemployed and struggling to make ends meet, they faced the consequences of their actions. Interestingly, Tom continued to send me messages and emails, begging for reconciliation after divorcing Michelle. I ignored his pathetic attempts, forwarding them to Sophia for a good laugh. I also filed for compensation through a lawyer, ensuring that Tom didn't get a penny from my company's assets. Divorce wasn't easy, but working hard post-divorce made me realize how happy I am. I even wished I had divorced sooner. Humans are strange creatures indeed. With plenty of money to spend freely and no grievances, I've decided to live my life valuing myself more from now on.